Yes, sir, baby. Welcome to the Tennessee Titan Podcast. It's Titans Coliseum. It's your boy RJ Ellison in the building, man. I got my two co-hosts in the building, man. What's up, Firestone? Go and tell them how you feeling, man.
Man, feeling good. I'm still trying to absorb everything from draft night and everything going on, but man, I'm good. It's looking good for the future. So, man, I'm excited.
Also, go ahead and tell them what how it's going, Morocco.
Man, we finna talk this talk, man. I mean, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great, honestly, man. I done gave myself a chance to calm down from last week. I know everybody out there was, stressed out, ain't even a word. I mean, that's me putting it nicely, but I feel great, man. I'm ready to rock and roll. We got a special guest in the building, man.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And before we get that, we also got some other news too. We got a sponsor today. We got to talk about, right? We got a sponsor. So, Pure Pressure Mobile, right, everybody? So, don't settle for mediocre car detail when you can have the best. Pure Pressure Mobile offers premium car detailing services that will have your vehicle looking like a star player. Whether you're headed to the game or just cruising around town, we got you covered. Go to purepressuremobile.com, mention that you heard this ad from the Tennessee Titans Coliseum, and get $20 off your next detail. That's purepressuremobile.com. But yes, we got a guest today. Y'all excited for that?
Yes, sir. Excited, man.
Always, man.
Yes, sir, man. We'll go ahead and introduce our new guest, man. Everybody knows if you live in the Nashville area, you turn it on the news channel 5. News channel 2. Excuse me, wrong number. News channel 2. You see the great. You know what I'm saying. I'm sure you get on there for your, your sports podcast, man. He does it big, man. We're gonna invite our guy in, Cory Curtis, man.
Worst introduction of all time.
Yeah, my fault. I got something going on in the background. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's good.
Sorry about that. How you doing today, Cory? Man, thank you for coming on and joining us.
I'm good. Man. RK. And
he got your back with that one,
man. No, I'm good. You know what? I always tell everybody I like the NFL offseason as much as I like the regular season. So, this is a great time of the year. I love roster building and kind of pontificating and looking at the way things are going to be.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, we're glad to have you here. For some of our viewers that might not know who you are, and for the intro we gave you, just let people know who you are, what you've been doing, and a little bit about yourself.
I've been doing sports at Channel 2 here for 20 years. I was the play-by-play guy of the preseason for, I don't know, like 8-9 years, something like that. I can't remember how many years it was. I was the host of the coaches show for about a decade, spanning from Mike Munchak to Ken Wisenhunt and Mike Malarkey, and never got to work with Coach Vrabel on that show, which is a good thing because he probably would have thrown me through a window or something.
No, so you got that's some bad interview in there. I remember those days, the Wisenhunt days, the Malarkey days.
Man. Okay. Quick story. All right. I've told this. I tell this one all the time because it's it puts the Wisenhunt era in a nutshell. We were in a commercial break during when he had Zach. What's his name? The quarterback. Mettenberger. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we're in a commercial break, and he says to me, Cory, Zach could save this franchise. And I just looked down at my scripts and said, oh my God, this is going to be bad. I mean, I was just like, they are going to lose so many games before this guy gets fired. It's just going to be horrible. I'm like, he honestly believes that clown is gonna save this franchise. He had the maturity level of a toddler, and you're handing him a football team. It was just, I mean, I was just, he's the worst head coach I've covered on any level.
Hey,
I mean,
he was a great football player, though. I'll tell you.
Who, Ken Wisenhunt?
Oh, no, my fault. I thought you were talking about Munchak.
Oh, no. Munchak was phenomenal. Vrabel was, I mean, look, I thought Munchak was a good head coach. Yeah. And he was a great football player. Mike Vrabel was a good football player, a phenomenal head coach. And Mike Malarkey was a good head coach, too. I'll fight anybody on that. But Ken Wisenhunt, the worst head coach to ever coach in a Super Bowl. There's just no doubt about that.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
I can't believe he believed in Zach Mettenberger though.
No, it didn't just. I mean, Zach Mettenberger married his daughter.
I was just about to say
it was a little bit of
It's
bias.
son of-
That's what
no,
it was.
that's all. That was after he was done. But yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
I remember those Mettenberger interviews afterwards, like him at the locker. Those were like unbearable to watch, just to see how much he didn't even care at moments when they were asking him questions.
So arrogant.
And didn't he ban Eddie George from the practice facility too?
I don't know about that. I do know, like, when he came in, like all of the old Oiler stuff and everything that was in the building, he took it down.
Wow.
What?
He took it down. And I've had players tell me they did not feel welcome at the facility when he was there, former players. But I don't know about anybody being banned from the facility.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And it's a great thing they got rid of when they did, because I mean
they swallowed over $20 million to do it, but that was a big boy decision.
Yeah, shouldn't have never happened, but it was well worth it, man. Because, I mean, we done came a long way since them dark days, man. But let's go ahead and get to the present day. I mean, we had the draft last week, man. A lot of mixed emotions.
That's to say the least, bro. That's to say the least.
I'm trying to be nice.
We're gonna have to do a little discussion on this draft, man.
Okay, I apologize. I haven't heard what you guys have had to say. What were you more emotional about? Missing out on Stroud, drafting Levis, not getting a wide receiver, or all? I mean, I don't know.
It was an emotional roller coaster night, I think, for all of us. And what's been crazy is we have definitely been on this podcast advocating not to get a certain person.
Man,
and then
I'm gonna let you know now,
Cory.
I'm gonna let you know now, Cory. Like, dude, like we was on here. This was a running joke for about 5 shows. About every time his name got brought up.
Yep.
we laughed. I'm talking about for hours, and we even had one of the Titan social media head on the show, and he was on the show laughing with us. So
I was on with Rossi the night of the draft, the first round, and I was like, yeah, I wouldn't draft Will Levis. I mean, just the look. When you see him, the physical stature of the man and his ability to throw the football, it is all there. It is all there. And I understand he got like a 93 on that S2 test, which is about decision making. But then when I watch the tape against Tennessee and Vanderbilt, and I see some of the decision making, I go, those two things don't sync up. Now, look, the Titans know way more about him than I do. I mean, they just don't throw away second round picks. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
They so traded one.
Jordan Green become a second round pick. But they believe in him, and But the thing I will also say is they didn't believe in him enough to take him 11th.
Yes, and I think that was the biggest roller coaster emotion for me was at 11. I was really hoping that we was going to address the wide receiver option quick, because to me, I felt like there was good wide receivers this draft, but there was a handful of game changer type of wide receivers in this draft. There wasn't many, but there was a bunch of good offensive linemen that could come in and play and solidify our line. So I felt like we should have went wide receiver a little bit quicker. So when we went Peter at 11, which Morocco called and jinxed us,
he literally called it.
I was a little upset because I wanted us to go wide receiver, and then the draft kept going and going and going, and we didn't get one till late. I was like, man, we missed out.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, you get better by drafting good football players. That's how you get better. And Skoronski's a good football player. He immediately makes this team better. So that's number one. Number two, if you took a wide receiver at 11, you were pushing them way up the draft board. Okay.
Correct.
You were pushing, except for Jackson Smith and Jigba. And because I think you could have taken him there, but the rest, I think you were pushing way up the draft board. And even then, you're talking about a guy who missed an entire year with a hamstring injury after everything you've been through. I had advocated getting a wide receiver because after watching the Bengals experience where everybody said they had to take Penei Sewell and they took Jamar Chase and they've shoved Jamar Chase right up everybody's rear end for 2 years now, I go, okay, a game-changing wide receiver does more for your football team than tackle 1 versus tackle 1A. But I think in that scenario, what I would have liked to have seen is the Titans trade down and take one of those receivers and get, like, because you talked about there were more tackles to get. I mean, there was the kid from Oklahoma. I was really surprised Paris Johnson, who I liked a lot, but I was surprised that he went as high as they did. But Rand said when they saw Skoronski there, it was like there was no trade talk. They were not trading out of the spot. That was their guy.
The pick was in like less than a minute. You know what I'm saying? Did y'all kiss that? Like as soon as the prize got on the clock, the pick was already in. They knew they didn't believe he was even going to be there.
Yeah, and, nobody was talking them out of it. They made that clear that he was that good on their board, and they didn't expect him to be there. I think they thought he was going to be the first one off the board.
I'll give you guys my take on this draft, and I've been doing a lot of research. I've been watching a lot of tape. I've been even having just conversations with myself about this draft. I'm trying to talk myself into it. Outside of the wide receiver position, he nailed this draft, man. And people gonna say I'm wilding before y'all. He answered all the questions that I had about this team outside of the wide receiver position. We needed to revamp our offensive line. We got that. It was Peter Skoronski. We needed an answer at quarterback. I'm not saying that Will Levis is the answer. We got an answer at quarterback.
They took a shot.
Yes. Without you know what I'm saying, when once Tannehill's contract is done with after the season, we got another running back that we need that to me complements what Henry lacks as a running back.
That guy can go. You've seen the tape.
He got no ACL either, though. I mean, is that going to be? You think it's going to be a concern?
Well, Hines Ward played without an ACL. You had a Hall of Fame career.
Frank Gore also played without one.
Okay, I was going to say a few exceptions, though, but Frank Gore is a beast, though.
Well, but here's my thing. If you get 4 years from him, that's it.
You got it.
That's also what you're looking for.
Okay. Also, I do like that. Also, I do like the tight end pick. I think he does everything that Chig Okonkwo isn't. Chig Okonkwo is a smaller tight end that uses a lot of speed. He's not really too much a route runner. While this guy, he's tall. He's a bigger red zone threat. He has some wiggle to him. He has some route running skills to him. I really like that. He has run after the catch ability too. I think it was a tackle after that. We got some more depth on the offensive line, and I guess they took a chance. They took a chance on that wide receiver. I'm a Tennessee fan, and I did watch the UTM game, and he did cook us. But our secondary was trash, but he did cook us. So
runs a 4.4, so he's got speed. So
most definitely.
That's one of the positives. He does bring speed, but typically a 7th round guy is a guy who's going to come in and play special teams for you. And I still have to think that they have a plan to bring in somebody to complement that wide receiver core, whether it's getting Corey Davis if he gets released by the Jets or something.
Got to.
I can't imagine their plan is to go in with the crew that they've got right now.
I think there's going to be a
Do you
trade.
think they'll even maybe go grab somebody from XFL? And you think there's anybody there that's shining enough to come up?
I mean, guys, if they're in the XFL, it means they're not good enough to be in the NFL. I mean, all right. And that doesn't mean they can't eventually be, but that means they're not a difference maker. All right. Because, the XFL right now would love to have Mason Kinsey, but he's a Titan. All right. And he can't even see the field for the Titans. I mean, that's.
I'm looking at right now. I've been looking at a bunch of number 3 wide receivers that are not given a chance to be a number 2 wide receiver. And one of the guys that's really sticking out to me, and he's at Rand Carthon's former team, is Jawan Jennings from the San Francisco 49ers. And I was like, maybe if we trade for him, maybe he's on an expiring contract, maybe a Brandon Ayuk. Maybe they can't pay Brandon Ayuk and they want to trade him. You know what I'm saying? He's on an expiring contract too.
Hold on, Corey, before you get to that, let me ask RJ a question. Do you really believe that, or is that the Vols?
No, obviously, I'm trying to not be biased. I'm trying not to be biased. I'm looking at.
Don't you think
also
Juwan
going to say Tyler Boyd too?
No.
Do you don't think Juwan and Westbrook Akine are kind of same player?
Kind of. I mean, they're not really too many. They're more physical.
I see it, man. I mean.
I don't know.
After wide receiver 1 and 2, I mean, I almost look at them like the same, give or take size or whatever. Yeah.
But I think when you look at who's going to shake free, you have to look at the finances of it. Corey Davis is due $10 million this year. And with the signing of Randall Cobb, he could now be receiver 4 or 5. And I don't think the Jets are going to want to pay $10 million for that. Juwan Jennings, who I'm not against adding Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings is a dog. Juwan Jennings played out here at Blackman High School. I handed him a trophy for Prep Player of the Week one week. Great kid. But he's on his rookie contract. Okay. So the 49ers are not going to, they don't need to let him go. He's cheap. He plays special teams and he's cheap. He's great. So they have no real desire to trade him. Now, Ayuk is a guy who, I don't know, his deal's got to be expiring, right?
He's playing on his 5th-year contract.
So he's playing. If they want to get something for him because they can't pay him and Debo both, that may be something. But the other thing you've got to consider this: next year the Titans don't have a 5th because of the Dennis Daly trade. They don't have a 6th because of the kid they picked up from Overton, Umo Agati, last year. And now they don't have a 3rd because they traded that away to move up and get Will Levis. So you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, we want to trade and get a receiver. Don't have that much to trade with. All right. And that's the problem you're looking at right now.
I think next year is not going to be a big draft year for us. It's going to be a big free agency year next year.
We got $100 million.
Yeah, so we got a lot of cap space next year, but we don't have a lot of draft picks.
Another thing people aren't seeing, though, is that my bad. Another thing we were seeing is that I read an article today that Will Levis lost over $20 million for him dropping out of that first round and becoming a second round pick. So that's
huge
even
difference.
More, that's even,
like Jalen Hurts.
Say the Firestone.
No, you're good. That's why Boyd makes a lot of sense to me a little bit from Cincinnati is because they did draft a wide receiver pretty high when their team was good on wide receivers. They got a wide receiver before we got a wide receiver. So they might be trying. I don't think they're going to get rid of Higgins. They're definitely not going to get rid of Chase. So they might be letting go of Boyd just because of you already got Joe Burrow, Chase, and Higgins going to be cutting up a lot of your cap space. So, and Boyd would be a good number 2 for us.
Yeah, look, Burrow's going to get over $50 million a year. There's no way around it. They've got to be ready for that, and so they're going to. Jesse Bates is already no longer on the team because they know they've got to sign Joe Burrow. I think Tyler Boyd is a real possibility as a guy that could be available, and so those are the scenarios you've got to look for. With football teams, I know Jerry Jeudy just got his 5th-year option picked up, and I know a lot of people thought he would have been a possibility, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen now.
Okay. Yes. Who do you think is going to be a possibility for us at a wide receiver in free agent, who's ever left in free agency or trade wise?
Well, there's not a lot out there right now. That's for sure. But I think if Corey Davis does shake free, I think he is a good fit for this football team. Because he's big, he's physical, he's a team guy. He will cost significantly less after the last 2 years in New York where he didn't get 1,000 yards and he has still had a few injury issues along the way. I would imagine they could get him for $6 million to $8 million, for a season. So I think that he is one guy that I would really circle and look at that they could add to this football team.
Okay. So Cory, let me ask you this because D-Hop name have been thrown out there a lot amongst the fan base and in the media as well, linking them to the Titans. How do you feel about D-Hop? And do you think if he's cut, he's a possibility for the Titans?
Sure. I think Mike Vrabel loves former Texans. There's no loves former Texans.
We have an obsession with that franchise, man.
Yeah, I just. Do we need another guy who doesn't practice?
That's my thing about D-Hop, man. I love D-Hop.
Hasn't missed nearly as many games as Julio. So I think we need to be fair with that. But, what's the price? And also over 30, right? Mm-hmm. And was never a burner. Just a really good guy who was a good route runner, really good at pushing off and getting away with it, and catches everything. Great catch radius, So, look, he's a good football player. There is no doubt about that. And if you could get him at the right price, he's going to make you a better football team. You got to know what you're getting. All right. You got to know, it was funny when they traded for Julio, I had Jared Stillman on our Sports Extra show. We played an over and under game, and I said Julio Jones over or under 8 practices this year, and it was supposed to be a joke, but it was pretty damn accurate.
Man, Jared, man, he nailed it with that Julio thing, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
he didn't like that train.
Yeah, when everybody was rooting for Julio, he was like, no.
Yeah.
That's what people were telling me. They were warning me about Julio before we got him, and I'm like, nah, I want Julio. I want him right next to AJ Brown. He's gonna be the same Julio we always been. And boy, was we wrong.
Everybody gets caught up in names. I mean, it's just like when the Ravens cut Ed Reed and the Bears cut Brian Urlacher, and it was like, oh, you gotta go get him. When teams that those guys have starred for years are ready to get rid of them, they know.
There's a reason.
They know. They know. It's the end of the line. And so I'm not as upset about getting Julio as how much the Titans gave up for him, because I think they gave up way more than anybody else was going to give up. The Falcons they knew the Titans wanted him, and they wrote it out, and they won in a big way.
Yeah, because that trade didn't make no sense, and it seemed like we make jokes about the Colts on here all the time for trying to reach for quarterbacks and old quarterbacks. It's like that's what we feel like we do at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, I think it's a good comparison.
It's like, man, let's go get somebody. We had somebody who should have held on to that somebody, but let's go get somebody that we find ourselves and have our own, instead of trying to chase these ones and trade for them or sign them off free agency, because it's not working out for us.
No. I mean, look, I always talk. You guys ever watch Seinfeld?
Yeah.
You remember the episode where George was at his girlfriend's house and there was the chocolate eclair in the trash can and it still had the wrapper on it. So he thought it was okay. And he reached in the trash can to eat the eclair, and her mother saw him.
Yeah.
You don't need to eat anybody else's trash, guys. You just don't. And that's what you're doing. They are discarding them and you're eating it. Okay. So don't eat anybody else's trash.
That's a good metaphor. That's a good one. Yeah, no, that's spot on. So I mean, who was there a wide receiver in this draft you was looking for us to go grab that you was kind of hoping for?
Yeah, I mean, look, I loved Njigba. I mean, 300,
my God, man.
340 yards and 3 touchdowns against Utah in the bowl game. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, he's a baller. He's a baller. I mean, so yeah, absolutely. And I also love the Flowers kid out of Boston College because he can go. And what did we hear Mike Vrabel say? We need to get faster. We need to get faster. We need to get faster. Zay Flowers is faster. Okay.
Yeah.
So those were the guys that I really liked. And then also he went, the Texans picked up Nathaniel Tank Dell. He's a little guy, but he's got all sorts of juice. And I thought he could have been like a 4th-round pick for the Titans. The problem is their 4th-round pick was Julio Jones, and so they didn't have one.
Yeah.
Tough times, man. Tough times.
J-Rob put us in a bad situation with these draft picks, man.
He did, though.
Yeah, we can get past this season right here and next season, man. I really believe, things will go up from there, man. I mean, we just gotta, like y'all said, we gotta shake this Julio thing and moving up for Will Levis too, man. I want to ask you this as well, Cory. Do you believe they sacrificed their wide receiver for Will Levis?
I mean, no, I don't. Because they stuck to their board. And so they got a guy who word was they tried trading back into round 1 to get him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he was not 11, but he was not that far off of 11 is what it sounds like to me. So I'm a believer in going with your board and getting the best players you can. It doesn't matter what positions they play. If they're good players, they find the field. And if they're better than the players you got, then they make you a better football team. So it's obvious to me they didn't love the receivers in this class. Okay. Now they might be right. They might be wrong. We're going to find that out. But you don't draft guys you don't believe in just because you need somebody. That doesn't work. So I mean, if they loved one of these wide receivers, probably be in the Titans uniform. All right. But we haven't heard any inkling of that whatsoever. Okay. So, they moved up, but the pick they lost was a pick for next year, right? But they could have taken a wide. Now, I can't tell you what wide receivers were available when they picked. I don't know. I don't know.
I think they said that had they not traded up, they probably would have been in position to get Cedric Tillman, Hyatt. I think it's somebody else.
That went back to back.
Involved as
Yeah,
well.
that's right. I forgot those two guys were available. Yeah, and look, I like both those guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you would have told me Titans took either one of those guys at 41, I would have said okay.
Yeah.
But I do know this: if you hit your quarterback, then everything else will work out around it because you got to get it right.
Be ready to say.
Growing up a Chicago Bears fan, all right, I've had 52 years of craptastic quarterback play. All right.
Oh Lord.
We had like 2 good years with Jim McMahon, and then Charles Martin body slammed him, and it was over. And we've been constantly looking for the next guy ever since. I mean, it is just a revolving door. Yeah, Mingo. That was another one. I like Jonathan Mingo.
I like Jonathan Mingo.
I was just surprised he went as high as he did.
He went second round, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He looks just like AJ, though. I mean, just like him.
I thought we were gonna get him, man. When we was at second round, I didn't know we were gonna trade up for Will Levis. I was like, oh, we about to get Mingo. We about to get Mingo. He fits what we do, you know. And
When
I mean, even Morocco said it when we was on the show a couple shows ago, man. He was like, dude, I don't like any of these receivers, man. They all little small guys that's playing the slot. I mean, there's only like 2 or 3 guys that's gonna play on the outside that we would even like. So you know.
I go pitching a fit about not getting the wide receiver. and that was my thing. Once I calmed down from everything that initially happened, I realized that I think the fan base as a whole got their expectations up too high. I mean, we came in like we need a receiver. We're gonna get a receiver. We're going to get a receiver. We ain't getting this person. We ain't getting a receiver. And
and there was also the CJ Stroud factor. Everybody thought they were going to Stroud. And if they'd gotten Stroud at 3, it wouldn't have mattered if they would have drafted Daffy Duck after that. Nobody would have cared. Everybody, we got CJ Stroud. Let's roll.
Especially RJ. He would have been really happy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I looked at it like this, though. I was talking to some Texan fans, and they were telling me, they were like, because I had showed them the video. He's like, why was you guys so sad about Peter Skoronski? Like, in my opinion, he was the best offensive lineman in the draft. Yeah. I was like, it doesn't matter. Offensive line is never gonna be a sexy pick. We could have drafted Trent Williams. You know what I'm saying? And we still would have been over here like, oh man.
Right,
nobody liked the Taylor Lewan pick when they made it.
And I remember that. I was at the bar, man. We was all excited for the draft, man. And next thing you know, Taylor Lewan pops up, and we like, man, who in the world is Taylor Lewan?
3 Pro Bowls later, and you're like, wow, that was a good pick.
I just think for me, and maybe some other Titans feel this way too, I'm just tired of taking offensive linemen in the first round. In the past 11 drafts, we have gotten 4 offensive linemen. The only other position we have drafted more than once is wide receiver, and that's 2 times. Like, we draft more offensive linemen in the first rounds than we have anything else. I'm just
there's Lewan,
yes,
and Chance Warmack,
yeah, and then we have Conklin. Jack Conklin,
man, we should have kept him.
And then Wilson.
Yeah, two of those 3 players really good.
But Conklin didn't stay. He was on.
It's not his fault.
Touche.
Man,
J-Rob.
Right.
That should still be here. Corey Davis should still be here. I mean, we can go down the list of guys that should still be here. Look, just because you don't give a guy his 5th-year option doesn't mean you can't extend him a contract offer.
Correct. I agree.
They could have told Corey Davis, hey, we're not going to give you $16 million a year because it's absurd. All right, but we will give you 40 for 4. All right. We want you to stay here. Here's $40 million for 4 years. You know what he would have done? Great. I like it here.
They didn't even make him an offer, right?
No.
Yeah.
J-Rob was bad at retention. He could not keep players.
Yeah, he could not keep nobody.
He couldn't do it. Like, our wide receiver room constantly changes every year. Our defense is
like
changing.
That lady who has to change her living room furniture every 5 years. Doesn't matter. Gotta get something new in here.
Yeah, he loved to keep rebuilding through the draft and not re-signing players.
Then he traded away all his picks and he had nothing to rebuild with.
Oh man.
I mean, exactly.
I think we're about to start seeing a little bit better GM work with Durant Carthon, man. Like I said, John Robinson would have drafted a wide receiver. He probably would have got Zay Flowers in the first round. First receiver on the board, Zay Flowers. That's exactly what he would have picked.
It's amazing how quickly people turned on J-Rob once he got fired. Because I saw all the stuff. J-Rob, we trust. J-Rob, we trust. And people would always ask me, like, well, what about this? What about that? I go, look, people overlook Isaiah Wilson and Caleb Farley and AJ Brown until you start losing. And guess what? They started losing and be like, get them out of here. Because that's when your warts are really exposed.
Even with those mistakes, though, I still don't think that he's just a bad GM. I just think that he just when we got to where we could not get over that hump of being a consistent contender. That's the part that he was messing up on.
I think he swung for the fences and missed.
Like we was kind of talking on the podcast before you got fired, right? We was like, man, it kind of seems like him and Vrabel aren't getting along. Looks like there's a disconnect. We was kind of starting to see that and kind of calling it at the beginning.
Remember when they were dancing on stage together at the uniform reveal? Yeah. Hey, we're buddies. And then they started showing up for pressers together from two different directions and then leaving in two different directions.
They wasn't seeing eye to eye.
Yeah, you can't tell me these guys are still talking. I mean, nobody's told me anything, but I know what my eyes saw.
Yeah. And like, I want to give, like, because we talked about this and I've had a long time process. I want to give J-Rob that credit to be like, he's not a bad GM, but let's, when you break down what the GM's supposed to do and what he did, he was only good at scouting. He couldn't negotiate contracts. He couldn't trade. He couldn't keep players around, but he could scout and find some players and draft them. But he never did any of the other caliber things that a GM needed to do to keep the team being good.
He signed Taylor Lewan. He signed Kevin Byard. He made a good deal for Ryan Tannehill when he brought him in. He did a lot of positive things that helped build this football team. He swung for the fences with Julio Jones and some of these other deals late. And I think he also – I've talked about the Titans sticking to their draft board. I feel like he got away from sticking to his draft board because – the Patriots have always had this thing about getting distressed assets. You notice how like a lot of former number one picks who kind of were flops wind up in New England because they consider those guys distressed assets. They were number one picks for a reason. And so they want to see if they can get it out of them. And so, J-Rob had a lot of that distressed asset in him. And so Jeffrey Simmons was a distressed asset and a huge hit. And I think that he got a little addicted to the distressed assets, and they were just a little too distressed. Isaiah Wilson and Caleb Farley. I still cannot fathom the Caleb Farley selection the year after Isaiah Wilson. I said I don't normally say what a team should do or not do, but I said the one thing they cannot do after whiffing on a first-round pick is take a chance on another one.
Yeah. You got to make sure that next year is somebody that is solidified.
Pillar.
Yeah.
I got to address this comment right here. I'm going to go back. He said that we could have got a Hooker instead of Levis. Yes, I know as a Tennessee fan, I wanted Hooker, man. I wanted Hooker more than I wanted Will Levis. But I'm going to be real, though. Hooker don't fit what we do. And you know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to lie. Will Levis, he runs at Kentucky, runs a similar style of offense that we do out here in Tennessee. They run the ball. And he can game manage. And he also can be mobile, you know what I'm saying? But even though I didn't want Levis, we all made fun of him. He like I said, he fits what we do, even though he's a goofy quarterback sometimes.
I just feel like Levis was too much. Like, he has all that potential, but I just felt like he was too much of a gamble and a risk for us for the potential of him or what his potential might be. Like, he could be all these things, but it's still a huge risk because we've seen he had a good year in college, but then this last year wasn't as good as the year before, and we can make excuses about the O-line, new offensive coordinator, and all that, but it still felt like it was too much of a risk for the Titans to take.
And then let me put this out here. Okay, I know a lot of people don't like Will Levis for whatever reason, but like RJ said, he fits what the Titans do. Now, if you look back, what have the Titans been doing that people complain about when it comes to quarterback?
Henry 35 times a game?
That too, but they've been drafting quarterbacks from the spread offenses and putting them in a system to where they're not comfortable.
Yeah.
And we finally got a quarterback that's, used to the system. He's familiar with it. So I think people should, have an open mind about Will Levis.
And he's just not having weapons, so it's perfect.
I'm gonna be real,
with that being said, though,
I'm gonna be real though.
Go ahead.
I was a huge fan of Malik Willis coming out, and he came to our team and he's trash. You know what I'm saying? I did not like the Ryan Tannehill trade. I did not like it at all. I did not like Ryan, but he came here and he's our second best quarterback since Steve McNair. You know what I'm saying? Look, but there's certain quarterbacks that's going to work in our system. There's certain quarterbacks that's not. I really like Vince Young. I was like, oh yeah, we got Vince Young, we good, and he didn't work out with us. I loved him, Mariota. I was like, oh, I can't wait. We got Mariota. He's athletic, this, that, and the other. Didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? And then we got Ryan Tannehill, and I was like, oh, he throw a lot of picks. He make a lot of mistakes. It's not going to work. Like I said, second best quarterback is Steve.
Mariota in year 2 had a monster year, and then he broke his leg in Jacksonville, and he just couldn't stay healthy after that. And I really would like to have seen the player he could have become had he been able to stay healthy.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, because I had so much hope for Mariota too. Like RJ said, when it was like him or Winston, I was like, no, I definitely want Mariota. Then when we got Mariota, I was like, yes, great. And
think about the numbers he put up
underperformed.
when all he had was Delaney Walker and Rashard Matthews. That was it. And he threw like 28 touchdowns that year.
I think when he got hurt, that how some players, when they get hurt, they start getting that doubt in their head that this injury might happen. And it started to show that he wasn't as committed to football as other football players was, because there's times where like, oh, I got a stinger in my elbow, I'm gonna sit out of this playoff potential game or chance game.
It wasn't a stinger in his elbow. He couldn't feel his arm.
Well, they kept reporting it as stingers. So
it's a bruised nerve, guys.
Well,
right. You can't feel the ball to throw it. It's tough to play. And by the way, he came off the bench with that injury and led him to a victory.
Yeah, but it's more than just that. Like Mario likes to throw balls in the dirt he's very inaccurate over the years, but it just seemed like after that injury, the leg injury, it seemed like he wasn't as aggressive as he used to be. There's moments of it. Yeah.
No, he regressed. Yeah. For whatever reason, he regressed.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so going into that, so we've talked about the draft. We talked about what's been going on. We highlight some old former players and went down memory lane. What's expectations for this next year? Now the draft's over. What are we looking for in realistic expectations for the Titans in 2023?
Well, look, I think defensively, if the front four can be what it's been, that's going to put them in every game. Simmons, Landry, Key, and Danico Autry, those guys will give, if they can keep those guys out there for 17, are going to keep them in every game, because those guys, we talked about dogs. Those guys are dogs, and they make everyone on the defense better. Everyone. Okay. So I think keeping those 4 guys healthy is paramount. Number 1. Number 2, can the offensive line come together? All right.
Yeah.
If the offensive line can perform at a reasonable level, then they can be competitive. And then you've got more questions about wide receiver and this, that, and the other thing. But if you can block up front and you can get to the quarterback, you're going to have a chance. And so that's all that I'm looking at.
Yeah. So basically for you is just control those trenches and we should be good.
Well, you have a chance.
Well, a chance. Yeah.
To be elite, you got to have the elite weapons on the outside.
Yeah.
And so Traylon Burks has got to emerge as a big time player. Chiga Okonkwo, has to be a big part of the offense. They got to have somebody else in the wide receiver core show up to be a player. And Ryan Tannehill's got to have a good year. That's all there is to it.
I noticed that like in the media availability day, like Tannehill was talking about how the offense looks completely different.
Yeah, he said there's a lot of changes to it.
Yeah.
So what those are, they're never exactly forthcoming of what they are.
True.
But we'll see. We'll see what they are. Like I said, they do have some weapons. They're largely unproven. All right. But I think I saw enough from Traylon Burks to know that he can make plays. You see the plays in Green Bay. You saw that. I mean, the touchdown where he got knocked out in Philly was a hell of a play.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big time play. So, I mean, look, is he AJ Brown? No. But do I think he can be 1,000-yard receivers? Absolutely, I do. And I think Chigakonkwo can be a 800-yard tight end if they'll just put him on the field and give him the damn ball.
Yeah. I'm hoping they get him more involved. We had a joke they was talking about we're gonna go wing system with or wing setup after how we drafted everything. Yeah,
I think I tweeted out maybe they're going wing T on draft night.
Yeah, it's looking like a possibility how draft.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy that people they giving they act like Traylon Burks not even on the team anymore. Like they just forgot about him.
He don't
He's there.
He's
working
last
hard.
year. Yeah, so and some of those injuries you couldn't control, like the knockout and stuff like
He's
that.
a
So I'm not
rookie.
blaming
There's no way
him for
rookies
that.
just gonna really stay healthy like that. It's just
Right,
not,
but
it's hard.
it's just what the cards fell for his rookie year. He just wasn't on the field majority of the year, and that just does kind of hinders
His
some people's
numbers are
faith.
still relatively close to I think AJ Brown's rookie.
Yeah,
But they were good. They were absolutely good. Now it's just hopefully you stay on the field this next year and we can truly see your full potential because we haven't seen it.
I think look, last year he was getting ready for the draft. Clearly, that put him behind that whole draft process. Being here now, I mean, he's here. He's been here working with the team. I think this offseason for him is as big as for anybody on the team. It could be the most important offseason of anyone on the team is what that guy does.
Yeah. So, Morocco, RJ, what's y'all's expectations for next season?
My expectations, man. Honest to God, truth, man. Just stay healthy. That's the number one thing. Stay healthy, because health is wealth.
Yeah,
and if we can stay healthy, I honestly believe we can win the division, and that's all I'm worried about. I know some fans want to talk about Super Bowl, but you got to win your division first before anything. That's just the truth of the matter. And
you know who the healthiest team in the league was last year?
Jacksonville,
Philadelphia.
Wow.
Philadelphia. I mean, AJ Brown played freaking 17 games. You ever play them all here? No. I mean, they're off. They had the best offensive line. They kept them all on the field. You stay healthy, like you said, health is wealth. You're right. I mean, you guys are starters for a reason. And when you're starting guys who weren't on the team when the season started, that's a bad scenario, no matter how much of a pleasant surprise they might be.
Yeah.
Because that's how you wind up with Dennis Daly.
Yeah. It definitely can't be using 80-plus players each season either.
90.
90 this year. Yeah, but I mean, last year we used 82, 83 the season before?
No, it was 91. It was an NFL record the season before. Last year it was 88. They were close.
So that's ridiculous. We got to stay healthy. We can't do
They
that.
changed the surface in the stadium. They're so desperate to get it right.
Yeah, I can't believe we're going to turf. But I mean, I'll give them my expectations, man. I think Derrick Henry's gonna have a good season this year, and that's because I feel like we fixed our offensive line. We don't have Dennis Daly out there anymore. We got Brunskill, who's also a really good guard, and he was a good guard for the San Francisco 49ers. We got Aaron Brewer in his correct position at center. Like, he does not need to be a left guard, huh?
He says he weighs 290.
Yeah, he did say he didn't look it.
Man, I'm just glad he's in his right position, man. He don't need to play. He don't need to play no left guard, no center, no left tackle, nothing. Like, he needs to be stay at center where he belongs.
You're right.
Yeah.
And I really like Peter Skoronski at left guard. I really think he can be a very, very good left guard in this league. And he can also be a really good left tackle. You know, if Dillard gets hurt and we need to play a left tackle, we got Skoronski. Just put him right there. You know, and I like that. I like what I see from this offensive line. And I feel like what stopped our offense this season was our offensive line play late in games. Because when there was multiple times we would come out of the game and score 24 points. Like when we played the Colts, we scored 24 points, start the game off, and the second half of the game we scored 3. It's because how many games did y'all see this season? Listen, how many games did y'all see this season? I remember Derrick Henry, as the game goes, he gets stronger. Derrick Henry did not get stronger as the game progressed, and that's because our offensive line play was trash. You know,
and play calling.
They never had
play calling was trash too.
They didn't have 2 good halves virtually all season. Let me ask you guys this though: do you expect them? I'm not saying to phase Derrick Henry out, but do you expect them to use the other backs a little bit more to try to get him to the postseason a little bit fresher?
Yes.
I would like to see us go a 2-back setup and go split shotgun in some situations and put Henry on one side and then put one of our more catching backs on the other side. Because we know Henry's not the best at receiving. But if you keep him on the field, there's always the threat of run. And when you take him off the field, people know that we're passing and we're going to use that running back.
I think that's got to be one of the biggest self-scout things they have this offseason is to be less predictable.
Yeah, so I think if you can go back there and figure out a way to keep Henry on the field and keep another running back, which, shotgun split, I think that would be a good way of doing it. We don't got many wide receivers anyway. So I think that would be a way of doing it, but we got to figure out a little bit of load management for him because he is starting to get a little bit older and it's a lot of mileage on him now.
Yeah. I hope we do a running back by committee. And I mean, obviously, Derrick Henry's going to get most of the carries, but I'd still want to. I got to see Tajay Spears out there. I got to see Hassan Haskins a little bit more, man. You got to get them out there. Our offensive line is going to be a lot better. It's going to be better holes. Man, get them out there and let them get some, get some carries.
Well, you don't draft a guy in the third round to play special teams. I mean, Spears has got to be out.
He's got to see the field, man. And that's my thing right there, man. I want to see him early. I mean, I want to see Haskins early. I want to see Spears early. And later on in the season, that's when you start phasing Derrick Henry in close to, time for the playoffs or whatever. I think that recipe right there will bring us the most success.
They really did a nice job with Hilliard last year. They made him a weapon in the passing game. And I think, I don't
still have him.
No, he's a free agent. He's a free agent. I don't know if that was the Tim Kelly influence or not, because that was definitely a different look than we had seen. And it was really some of their best offensive plays of the season. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns in the opener. In their last victory in Green Bay, he scored the touchdown, to start the football game. So I think, also when you're throwing to the running backs, the quarterback's not holding on to the ball as long because all the throws are shorter. So I think you're going to see the running backs be more involved in the passing game, especially the first half of the season, which would lead you to believe Tajay Spears will see the field quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm gonna be real, man. I really think we're gonna compete for the division this year, and it may be a bold. It's gonna be a bold prediction for me. I think we're gonna win the AFC South for the 3rd time in 4 years, man.
Guys, that's my bold prediction. Murderers Row, all right. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Only team we got to worry about is Jacksonville. And you want to be real. When we played them and with their Super Bowl in Jacksonville, they offense did not look like they did not pick us apart. We literally were shutting them down. We just could not score on them, man.
We controlled that last game. That last game, bro, we controlled the whole game with Josh Dobbs as a quarterback. It wasn't until the last 2.5 minutes of that game, they finally got something to swing their way. But we controlled that entire game until that one play. So I don't fear
Jacksonville. Not Jaguars at all.
They got quiet when Chiefs scored their touchdown and we went up 10-0. They just knew it was over with then.
Come on, man. They're not nothing I'm worried about, man. I'm gonna be real. I think, like I said, they're gonna be good in here in the future. But right now, yeah, that's my bold prediction. Tennessee Titans win the division for the 3rd time in 4 years, man. That's my bold prediction.
Yeah. See,
I'm standing on it too, man.
Yeah, no, I agree because I agree with you and I agree with Cory. If we can win at the trenches, like if our D line stays healthy, this offensive line gets some chemistry together and actually works together, and everybody's left hand, right hand, and does good. I don't think our wide receiver position is going to be as big of an issue as it seems. We've seen Tannehill and this offense go out and at least do something respectable. Not last year, but we've seen it happen with mediocre wide receivers. So if we can win those trenches, I think we'll be good. We're not going to be the sexiest, beautiful team, most entertaining team to watch.
We've never been that.
But winning games is after all what we're trying to do. And I think we're going to win the division. I think we'll win at least 10 games. We're going to take the South again. And, I mean, that's the way the AFC is shaping up anyway. You got to go win your division to make sure that you're going to make it in.
I'll just say I think Traylon Burks is going to score at least 8 touchdowns this year.
And I hope so. I hope so, man. I'm banking on that guy, man. I mean, I got all the faith in the world in Trey, man, because I mean, like y'all said earlier, man, he made plays last year. Not a lot of people talk about that. What was it? it was a long first down we needed in Buffalo, and he converted it. I mean, he looked like AJ out there converting it. I mean, he caught the ball like it was a 5-yard catch, but I mean, it was like 3rd and 18 or something. I mean,
16.
Man. 16. Yeah. The man can make plays, man, and if he can stay on the field, the sky's the limit for him.
I try not to say how many catches, how many yards, because I don't know how much they're going to throw the football. But I do think he will be a legitimate target around the end zone, and he'll be able to make some play. Like, I think he'll have 2 or 3 long touchdowns as well.
Yeah.
I just like our offensive line room, man. It is way better than what I saw last year. Our offensive line it's a whole 180, dude. Like, I'm telling y'all, man. If you go look at the PFF ratings and look at their pass blocking, this is 90s, 80s. Last year we was in 60s, 70s. You know what I'm saying?
It kind of feels like J-Rob's first year. Remember when he came through that first year and transformed that whole offensive line? And we wasn't happy about some of these things. We're like, who's Ben Jones? What is this stuff? And it wound up being a good offensive line. It kind of feels like that in this situation. At first we was upset, but as I look at it more, this O-line room looks a lot better.
You know, I fought with Jared Stillman about Skoronski because he's like, if he doesn't play tackle, it's a failed pick, and I think that's ridiculous. You know, look, if he's wearing a gold jacket one day, I don't care what position it is, center, guard, tackle. Bruce Matthews played all over.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Bruce Matthews played all type of different. He been to Pro Bowls in dang near every position on the offensive line. You telling me he's a bad pick?
Yeah, some people think he's the greatest offensive lineman that ever lived. And Skoronski physically kind of reminds me of Bruce. So, you know, I would never compare. He's the next Bruce Matthews. That's ridiculous. But like, if he goes out and plays guard this year and he's a butt kicking machine, I mean, who cares? Who cares? If on every 3rd and 1 they run behind him and get a first down, don't tell me he didn't make the team better.
Yeah.
And some of the fans should celebrate is Skoronski is durable as hell. I mean,
boy, he just put the on that.
I don't think he missed a game in college.
He was the first ever 5-star recruit to ever go to Northwestern. So the talent was already there before he even got to Northwestern.
And they're a well-coached team too. So I like drafting guys from well-coached teams. I mean, Iowa's a well-coached program, and those guys come in ready to play. Northwestern's a well-coached program. He'll come in ready to play.
Yeah, I really did. You see the video whenever Peter Skoronski came into the building and Mike Vrabel tried to size him up? Like he like how you doing? He like smacked him on the head. It was hilarious.
Big dude, man.
I ain't gonna lie. At first, I did not like the Skoronski pick. We literally have a video that's on Twitter, on Facebook, in like desperation, like, oh.
Do we got this video loaded up?
I don't.
Real quick.
If you can load it up real quick, we'll show it on here. But man, y'all got to see it, man. We were disappointed. I ain't gonna lie. But once I did my research, I got to look at some film on them. I think it was the right pick. You know,
I know a lot of people for an offensive lineman like Paris Johnson, but he was off the board.
I definitely like Paris Johnson. That was my O-line target, my number 1 O-lineman coming into this draft. And so I was like, man, we gotta get somebody from Ohio State. I wanted the 3 Ohio State players. So
yeah, I liked them all.
Absolutely. I was looking for that. We'll get that in a second. So I mean, we talked about that going into the next one. You kind of already corrected me on this one from beforehand before we got on here about the Taylor Lewan suing over the ACL surgery.
Yeah,
so,
it's Dr. James Andrews and his staff.
Okay, so nothing. The Titans haven't been listed in that or anything. So it's just been Dr. Andrews and all that. So is Andrews still a part of the team?
No, Dr. James Andrews has never been a part of the team. Dr. James Andrews has his own practice deck down in Florida and another office in Birmingham. There are doctors who specialize in feet and in knees and in hips and in shoulders. And like, there are different doctors for virtually like everyone that are like, that's the guy you go to. He is not on the Titans staff. Taylor's choice to go and perform the surgery, whether he did or didn't, the Titans have lawsuit whatsoever. In fact, just days before the lawsuit went out, when Skoronski got picked, Taylor went into his DMs telling him how much the city and the team meant to him. So he was still talking up the fight. It doesn't sound like he's got any more will for the fight.
Oh, okay. I think your mic might have dropped as well.
Yeah, I was about to
So it's a little low on there.
Oh, I think it fell off.
Yeah, I ain't know what was, I was like, hold on. I was like, I didn't want to say nothing. I was like, look, I'm just gonna let Cory keep cooking over here. But,
yeah. So okay, so that's good because I thought there for a little bit the way it was reported and talked about for a little bit that they were they were just yeah. Okay. So no, I because the way it was being reported a little bit there for a little bit, I thought he was like suing the team and the team.
Didn't know because there was nobody, there was no word on who was named. He was just saying the doctor and the people responsible. And so we're like, well, who does that all include? And I couldn't get anybody from the team to talk to me about it. But the way they were talking didn't sound like they were involved because, you know, just like you kind of parse words. And I'm like, I don't think that they're involved in this. And so, yeah, so if you read what's in the suit, he hasn't said how much money he's asking for. Guys, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be in the tens of millions.
And what's crazy too is like, and I get this for a situation, but like Taylor had if I'm not wrong, he had a clause in his contract that even when he got injured, he still made full salary pay. He didn't go to injury reserve pay or injury pay. He still got his full salary pay. Because he talked about that on Bussin' with the Boys, that he was like, even though I got injured those past 2 years, I still received full pay from Tennessee. And that's when he was talking about them going to let him go because it's like, you've already paid me 2 full years and I've been injured. Why would you pay me this amount of money for another year?
I don't believe you get paid less just because you're hurt.
Some people, I didn't believe that either, but that's what they were talking about on there because Delaney asked him, like, did you get your injury pay or did you get full salary? And he's like, yeah, I still got full salary.
So Delaney got paid.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the first time I ever heard that.
Yeah, I've never heard of. I mean, I've heard of injury settlements.
Okay.
Where guys get waived injured and they reach a settlement. But you know, the reason a lot of these like if the Titans were going to trade Tannehill, they wouldn't allow him in the building right now, like we had with Steve McNair, because if he got hurt, that would guarantee his money. All right. And so like I could be wrong about this. But I don't know anything about a guy getting hurt and paid less unless they waive him injured.
Man, it sounds like I'm gonna be rocking the Mickey Mouse costume.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
gotta tell him about the bet. Gotta tell Cory about the bet.
So Cory, me and Firestone got a bet on day. So we bet before the draft that Tannehill was gonna be the quarterback this season. And Firestone's pro Tannehill, and I like Tannehill, but like I'm not pro. You know what I'm saying? So
let me ask you this: what if they go to the AFC Championship this year? I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but what if they do? What do you do?
I'm a big Tannehill advocate. I think he doesn't get as much respect as he should from this fan base because of all the other elite quarterbacks in the AFC that everybody
doesn't win the big game.
Well, that one time, yes, but
that
happens. Well, yeah. Okay, he had
let's
the
go
other
over
time
the
was
last
team
3
totality.
playoff losses. All right,
one was Henry's because he was fumbling.
All right, look, second half against Kansas City, you needed him to elevate the team. He didn't do it. All right, he played the Ravens. You know, Henry couldn't run, but Tannehill didn't do anything to elevate the team that day either. He was not good. What did he throw for, like 160 yards?
Right. Well, see, and that's the also thing. I think people don't realize what Tannehill is. I don't think or see Tannehill as an elite superstar QB. I see him as the guy that doesn't put us in positions to lose games. He doesn't set us up like Tony or like Dak Prescott does for the Dallas
if you
Cowboys.
Don't put points on the board, you don't put the team in position to win games.
Correct, but Tannehill can. We've seen that from him when he has proper play calling.
You're making
now it's not all excuses, but we've seen because we've seen how he played in that offense, and we saw how Malik played in that offense, and then we saw how Josh Dobbs played in that offense, which is completely different. Yeah. But my argument is you could take a lot of QBs in the NFL and put them in Tannehill's situation, and they wouldn't outperform Tannehill.
Well, look, you put Ryan Tannehill with the Philadelphia Eagles with that offensive line and that surrounding cast, he'd look really good.
Well, anybody can look good, great. It's how good can you look when it's the team around you is mediocre?
And that's my point.
Correct.
He's only as good as the weapons around him. That's what he's not going to elevate. He's
not
going to elevate the talent around him.
Correct. He's not an elite QB, but he's a stepping stone QB, and there's not too many out there that are realistic options for us that's better.
He's a good player. But he has shown, and look, I would love for him to prove me wrong, to not be good enough in the playoffs. The 2 playoff games they won with him at quarterback, he threw for less than 100 yards in both of those games. All right. Now, there were big passes he completed. I mean, he had a big touchdown to Khalif Raymond in Baltimore, had a big first down pass to Anthony Ferkser up in New England. I mean, he made some big plays, but he's not the reason they won those football games. They won those football games because of defense and because Derrick Henry was a psychotic beast for about 8 straight quarters.
Correct.
And so if you want to win the big – and that's my thing. What if he shows you he can win some playoff games this year?
The money would have to make sense next year, and I would not have a problem like next year being a QB battle position between him and Will Levis. But I don't think that's happening this year. I think it's definitely Tannehill this year. But for him to come back next year, even if he does go to like the AFC Championship, the money would still have to make sense because there is that track record of, even though the playoffs was his first appearance with the Titans and it's a learning curve for him, you still expect it to perform in the playoffs when we get there. I mean, Lamar Jackson ain't performed well neither, but you still expect it to perform when you get there.
And here's the other thing. You should just remember Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. Okay.
Yes.
Alex Smith had a career year and took the Chiefs to the playoffs, and they said, see ya, because we got this guy, and he is the bee's knees. And they said goodbye to him. And so regardless of what the Titans do next year, if Will Levis shows them this season that he is the future, they'll move on.
I agree with that. Yeah, because he's definitely a lot cheaper, and why not go ahead?
Yeah.
For the guy that said that, he said, "Can Will Levis?" Hold on, let me find that comment. He said,
and I got that video uploaded as well.
I got you.
I'm gonna get this point across, and we'll show the video. Can Will Levis elevate the talent around him? I'm gonna be 100% real with you. He was on Kentucky, and I seen Kentucky this season, and they weren't that good. But I also seen what Kentucky looked like in that bowl game without him. And they were awful. Awful. They didn't even score.
Nobody played for them in that game. Their best running back, their best receiver, they all sat out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm about to say, look, I did see what he looked like without him, but I'm not saying that he's elevating the talent, but he did play Kentucky.
That was the worst bowl game ever.
But yeah, we go ahead and show the video of the Peter Skoronski getting drafted, man, and we can go on in this stream. I know you're trying to go to bed, Cory. You got a long day tomorrow.
I got a 10 o'clock show to put on.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead.
All right, so here it is.
They better not piss for Skoronski, bro. They better not.
Hey,
Marco, if
you know it might happen.
We did. Marco jinxed it. No! Oh my God, Marco! No! Oh my God, no!
Look at all you guys.
We was upset to say the least.
Somebody pooped in your Cheerios.
Yeah, man. I mean, we expect a receiver, man.
We were all so hyped, man. We gotta have a podcast.
We were sweating Will Levis there too.
Mm-hmm. I was more disappointed they didn't trade down.
Yeah, that's what I was wanting. I was wanting to trade to like 17 or 18, and more
picks. Because look, you could have traded down, still gotten an offensive tackle, had another pick for a wide receiver, and still drafted Will Levis.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? I always say, if Skoronski wears a gold jacket one day, we'll say, God, that was brilliant.
Yeah, it'll all be worth it in that situation.
So smart.
Well, I mean, speaking of gold jackets too, Coach Vrabel got inducted to the Patriots Hall of Fame as well. It's a red jacket, but you beat me to it. But yeah, it was a jacket. There's my segue was the jacket. But yeah, congratulations to Mike Vrabel on that and being inducted to the Patriots Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah, he was a great player. I mean, not an elite player, but a really good player who played a ton, didn't miss a lot of time. and just was just really, really, really solid. One of the things I always feel bad about for Coach Vrabel is he won 3 Super Bowls in New England. All his rings got stolen.
I didn't know that.
Oh my goodness!
Nah, I didn't know that.
When he was coaching in Houston, his house got robbed, and they stole all 3 of his Super Bowl rings. So, but he was a big part of that Patriot dynasty, and I know he was up for that honor for like 5-8 years, and he finally got voted in. So I think it's well deserved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and let me leave y'all with this before we head on out, man. Mike Vrabel still has more receiving touchdowns than every Titan receiver we got right now. So.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh man.
Combined, probably.
Oh
right.
Yeah.
Man, this is a sad situation, man. But hey, we gonna prosper, man.
How many? Gosh, I'm trying to think of the wide receivers. Traylon's got 1. Do they have 1?
I think Westbrook got like 2.
Okay, I know
Westbrook
Westbrook for his career has got more than that.
Okay.
So
yeah, I think Westbrook got like 7 for his career or something.
Yeah, I think he had like 4 last year.
Yeah.
Well, so let me pull this up. This is important now.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Because if it's more than the whole team combined, that seems like a really good question for Coach Vrabel the next time we talk to him. Mike, we just looked it up. You've got more touchdowns than your whole receiving corps combined.
That's crazy.
Careers.
That's crazy.
All right, okay. Nick has 7 for his career.
Okay.
And so Traylon has 1. Kyle Phillips doesn't have any.
8.
Racy McMath certainly doesn't have any. I know Chris Moore. Chris Moore's got, I don't know, maybe 3. I don't know. It's close.
I still don't understand why we picked that dude up.
Because he's a body.
Vrabel.
I think that was Rand.
Former Texan. Former Texan, bring him in.
Oh man, absolutely, man. No, so anybody got so many more last hot takes? Anybody got some hot takes or talking points?
No,
before we wrap up.
I think
I already told y'all my hot take. I'm standing on it the whole season.
All right, guys, I got to get going. I got to finish up this show. Vanderbilt's getting
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming through, Cory. You have a great night. And hey, man, once again, thanks, man. Hope to see you soon.
I appreciate it. I always appreciate that anyone cares enough about what I have to say to ask me to be on. So thank you very much.
You're welcome on here anytime, Cory.
All right. Well, enjoy the season. Like I said, you get better drafting good football players. And we'll see if they drafted good football players this year, because if they did, they'll be better. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Appreciate it again, Cory. You have a wonderful night.
All right. Later, guys.
Later.
All right.
Awesome. So that was spectacular. That was good, man. Great show. Covered a lot. Y'all got anything else to cover before we drop the sponsor again and then roll that beautiful bean footage like Morocco likes to say?
Yeah, that beautiful bean footage, baby. But I just want to thank everybody for coming, man. I mean, we really appreciate the comments. I know, man, y'all always active in here, man. We got a lot of faithfuls that been here since day one, and we really appreciate y'all. We appreciate all the haters that come through the building as well, because, I mean, hey, y'all ain't doing nothing but running our numbers up at the end of the day. I mean, y'all may think y'all pressing us, but at the end of the day, man, I mean, shoot, we happy, man. Anybody who come through here and does anything, man, I mean, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. You got anything, RJ?
Yes. And like I said, man, keep on showing up, man. Like I said, the show getting bigger and bigger, man. You see the guests getting better. You know what I'm saying? We just keep on moving forward, man. And we appreciate we can't do this without you guys. You know what I'm saying? Without the fans, the viewers, the subscribers, we can't do it without y'all, man. And y'all keep supporting. And the more you guys support, the better the show gonna get, man. And hopefully we get to a level that, you know, we can't be touched, you know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. So, man, get ready to turn heads with Pure Pressure Mobile. See, I'm already messing up, man. So get ready to turn heads with Pure Pressure Mobile. Our premium car detailing service will have your vehicle looking like it just rolled off the showroom floor. Perfect for football fans who want to arrive in style. Book your appointment today. PurePressureMobile.com. Mention the Titans Coliseum podcast and get $20 off your detail. All right, PurePressureMobile.com. So we thank y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all tuning in every week. Until next week, y'all have a good one.